Well, good afternoon, everyone. And this week we are going to start with the charts. Normally we start with the calendar, but as we had a pretty quiet economic calendar this week, apart from the minutes out of the Fed and a largely anticipated rate hike out of the Kiwi dollar, we are going to look towards the charts this week. Now, we did have this pullback in the dollar over this week and the course of last week, a move higher in euro dollar, which has been met with a week higher in terms of stocks. Now, we've got to look at the different markets, the intermarket relationships as to why this may have happened. And we see 3 weeks ago across on the US 10-year yield, which you see here, we posted a bearish engulfing candlestick. 3 weeks ago, we still had a bullish candle on the dollar index, still had a bearish candle on euro dollar, and still had a bearish candle on the S&P 500, albeit a hammer showing a lack of bearish momentum. We did get some follow through last week in terms of the US 10-year yield, which was then met with a move lower in the dollar. Likewise, in euro dollar, we then moved higher. We were posted with a bullish engulfing candlestick in euro dollar last week, and that has been met again with some follow through into this week. Now, that pullback in the dollar, that pullback in yields has created an environment where the S&P can then form a base to move off, and that is what we have seen. We see a pretty good base, across here, certainly in terms of weekly candlestick sentiment over the course of 3 weeks now, with a hammer showing, certainly some increasing bullish momentum. We then see a kind of spinning top doji kind of candle showing definitely some hesitation, and we've been met with a bullish engulfing this week, buyers stepping back into the market, and that is definitely positive going forward. Now, if we can continue to get that move back in the dollar, largely driven by obviously a pullback in the yields helps, but we have had some soft economic data out of the US over the last kind of 2-3 weeks. Certainly yesterday we had week GDP figures yesterday. Today we had personal income figures which were lower. Also PCE figures, personal consumption expenditure, which is the Fed's preferred metric of inflation. Now, out of the minutes during the week as well, there was no members of the committee that suggested that a 75 basis point rate hike was a good idea, which markets had been fearing. Now, they also did agree that 50 basis points at the next two meetings would do it, and then they will, see what they think then moving forward after that. But if that is all, markets were expecting that anyway. Markets have now got that relief that we're not going to get that 75 basis point hike, or at least it is not on the table for now. So that has lent itself to some upside in stocks. And does that continue on into next week? It remains to be seen. We have a few data points out on the calendar next week. Now, we've non-farm payrolls next Friday. We've got non-manufacturing PMIs next Friday. A couple of employment figures then throughout the week in terms of the US dollar, and the manufacturing PMI on Wednesday. We've a raft of economic data out next week, which is too much to cover now at the end of this video. We can go into it a little bit more next week. Now, Thursday and Friday of next week, it's a bank holiday here in the UK, so we will not be active in terms of LAT next Thursday and Friday. We'll still hopefully look to try and take some positions around some of these data releases as the rest of the world goes on. All these data releases we will cover in a bit more detail next week. But that is it from me. Nice sunny afternoon in London. Get out and enjoy it. Hopefully we get some nice weather for the weekend, although it's not quite forecasted. But anyways, get out and enjoy this afternoon if you can. So that'll be it for me personally for a couple of weeks. No insights video next week, so that'll be it for me for a couple of weeks. So have a good couple of weeks. Enjoy a long weekend next weekend, and we will speak to you soon. Have a good weekend.